Just imagine you and me running out of steam, going through the motions, and I have no idea how you know.
Okay, this is going to be a very informal video. I'm not really prepared, but I wanted to talk about attraction and how to pick up women. And a lot of this stuff is about who we are as a person, and so it goes into other areas of life, not just how to pick up girls. But this is a really good one, and because I think it does filter into different areas of life. And why I'm so interested in this in particular is because there's a lot of problems around it. It's taboo. We don't typically talk about attraction and what's going on and how it's working. And I think a lot of the underlying beliefs of our culture are not necessarily problematic, but they don't allow for the reality of what's going on. And it just leaves us confused. I think a lot of young men and a lot of young women are kind of stuck in their heads, and so guys will try and intellectually convince a woman to be attracted to them, and that's not how it works. Attraction is something, it's deeper than that. It's deeper than just like us thinking of a concept and trying to project that concept into another person and have them internalize it. No, it's much deeper than that. If you want to look at it from a brain perspective, it's much deeper than that on the brain level. It's not what goes on the frontal cortex, on the higher brains is not really that relevant. It's what's going on at a more primal kind of level. And this is a human, it's a human thing, but it's also an earth thing. Because my opinion on what's happening in life in general is this kind of waverance off a neutral point, and essentially the world is fucking itself. That might sound weird, but like the Big Bang is like explosion and contraction, and that's just a concept. Whether that's actually happening or not, but it's a good model for what I think is going on in nature. We have these polarities, and they are the masculine and feminine, and these energies move away from each other, and they have attraction towards each other, and that's just one metaphor, one way of understanding it. But there's this energetic space, and that is what causes the attraction. So it's not the cognitive stuff doesn't matter that much. Of course, if you're intelligent and can connect on that level, it's an additional bonus. But attraction is kind of, for at least the majority, is happening at a deeper part of us. So an expression that I like to use is that the content is irrelevant. And I say this, and it applies to a lot of different areas, but what I mean by that is an attractive guy can walk up to a group of girls and say, and I mean attractive in terms of he's got, not physically attractive, but attractive is he knows how to spark attraction, and he's good with women generally. If he goes up to a group of girls and he says a certain thing, right, it'll probably come off well received. And if you get a guy who's typically not good with women, you get him to go and say exactly the same thing in the same way, he's not going to be well received most of the time. Obviously, there's a lot of variables, but pretty much that's what happens. So the guys who are good are just good, and the guys who are bad are just bad, and that's kind of it, and people accept that as their fate. And what I want to say is that there's a lot of things that people are kind of misunderstanding or doing wrong, and people are shooting themselves in the foot. There's a lot of good guys, like great people, and I'm sure it works the other way as well, but this is what I'm talking about right now. A lot of great guys out there, and they're just not getting themselves across. They're not getting themselves out. They're not getting their natural sexuality, and attractive parts of them seen. And that's for a lot of reasons. So, yeah, I mean, you can talk about it in terms of body language or, you know, adopting the behaviors or language or, you know, sound or, you know, interactions of a person of high social value and all that sort of stuff. And you can look at it from a behavioral perspective. But I think that's getting very technical, and obviously it's beneficial to consider all things in general and then apply knowledge into our life. I think that's one of the great things about being human. We can consider things and learn from them and integrate it into our lives. That's fantastic. But yeah, the main thing we have to understand is that energy is the most important thing. It's the content doesn't matter. What we say to a girl doesn't matter. It's how it's done. It's how it's done. You can stand in a certain way and imitate certain body language, but if it's stilted and it's not coming from that kind of genuine, like that genuine place, it's going to be seen. It's going to be picked up. At least it's going to be picked up by like high quality women. So what you have to do essentially is get in touch. I mean, this is a massive topic, and you want to discuss lots of different things that go into this whole big thing of how to pick up women or how to spark attraction. But I think the most fundamental thing, the most important thing to start off with initially is an understanding that it's the energy that you carry. It's the energetic space that you carry. There's a thing that I call holding space, and I like to think of it as having this little bubble of energy that we carry around with us, and we're responsible for that bubble of energy. And that's true with women and dating, and it's true in life in general. We have this energetic space and we're responsible for it. We can say no to an energy that comes in from another person. We can tell them to leave, or we can go into our own space. And so that's important. And with women, like, what kind of tends to happen is they'll play with your space energetically. And most guys are completely unaware of their own internal state. And so girls are looking for someone who's confident and competent and stable and self-assured and is strong within themselves. And somebody like that, who's genuinely like that, won't be thrown by fleeting things from the external. So what most women do is sort of test subconsciously usually, and just play with guys. And the guys that are affected by it and dragged into negative places, or bad attitudes, or start fights, or do any of this negative shit, they are failing these tests and they're not sparking attraction. So a guy who's carrying a good energy, it doesn't matter what it is, like, as long as it's authentic and they're like true in themselves, and feeling good and experiencing and exploring and playing and getting involved in life. Like, that is the masculine energy. That's the attractive thing, and women are going to see that, or more like they're going to feel that and just be like, oh. You'll hear a lot of women say, okay, so this is really funny. Like, you'll see a lot of women who will say things like, they'll have a checklist of things they need to be attracted to a guy, and they say, oh, I like guys with this and that, and big muscles, or I need a guy to be tall or tanned or whatever it is, and they'll say it, and then they'll just go and fuck someone else who doesn't fit any of those criteria, and it'll be the best sex of their life, and they'll say, oh, it just kind of happened. And that's because they don't understand how attraction works themselves. Asking women what to do or what they want is bad for a number of reasons. One reason is that they probably don't know or don't understand themselves, and they probably don't understand attraction in general. So they don't know what's going on for them. And even if they did, it would be hard for the average girl to admit it, because there's so much stigma and social and cultural conditioning which tells us we're not allowed to think certain things or be certain ways and basically be ourselves. So we've got this layering on top of that. So that's another reason why it would be, you know, it's unlikely that you're going to get the right information from a girl or from a guy for that matter. I would say don't listen to what they say. I would say try things, change your attitudes, change your state, try and get into a really good state, and then say whatever the fuck you want. Play with the girl, you know. Try that, and then see how it works. See how it works in real life. And if something is working, it's usually because you're either being true to yourself or just being free or just having fun and enjoying yourself. That's usually what happens. So I would say experiment, but the main thing to the main thing to understand is that it's an energetic thing, and attraction's got almost nothing to do with what's going on in the cognitive space, like trying to talk to a woman to convince them intellectually to like you. It's a losing game, you know. And even if a girl, I mean, obviously it helps if you've got if you've got a reputation or social proof, then it's easier. But it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't matter. Because what's going on, that connection, it's something that's happening in the real space. And you can feel that. I mean, we instinctively, guys and girls, if we're tuned in and like operating at a decent level of awareness, we can feel what another person is. We can actually feel that. So if you're just being stilted and in your head and trying to think about things and trying to manipulate people around you, people who are aware are not going to be interested in that, and definitely not going to be attracted to it. So I think I've babbled enough, but yeah, the main concept that I wanted you to take away is that it's not in the mental space where attraction happens. It's in the flow of emotion and energy and play and fun. So monitoring your own space and being aware of what's happening with you is the way to go. Now, I'll talk about things more specifically in other videos, so stay tuned and subscribe. Yeah, I think that's the main thing. So if you can stay focused on your energy and work with that and try things, that's a great place to start in attracting women.